Welcome to lecture 15. I'm very happy you made it to this point. After we discussed your view of relationships and of conflicts, now it's time to talk about sex. Just to let you know, I only watch videos by one life coach. His name is Tony Gaskins. Here's a piece of deep wisdom I got from him. We often get in life what we are and not what we want. Powerful, huh? This lecture will examine a deformed perspective on sex in our society, and I will demonstrate to you how such a perspective hurts you and your future. I will utilize many of my personal examples and share how I stay on my journey of changing the way I view sex, which allows me to create a positive change in my life and relationships. Let me push a pause button here, because now is a proper time for full disclosure. I love sex. I personally am more wired like men and have a very high sex drive. The worst part is that I think about sex all the time. In lecture 1, I shared my story with you. And as you know, all this comes from my mother, the way she raised me and what our relationship was based upon. So keep this in mind. What I'm about to share with you here was mind-blowing to me when I realized it. It's the wisdom I gained getting my master's degree from the Mistakes and Misery University. You don't have to enroll there, my friend. You have me. And I openly share all the lessons that I learned there. So let's talk about the 5 crazy rules about sex that are constantly being pushed on you by our urban sexualized culture, entertainment and advertising, and what our society promotes. Okay, rule number 1. Sex is an essential part of relationships. My friend, sex is a benefit of a relationship, not its building block. You already know that both of my marriages were sex-driven. There was almost no substance to my relationships with my husbands but sex. And then I was wondering, why don't I feel fulfilled? And why does my husband treat me as a sex slave and not as his lawful wife? Well, because I was in a sex-driven relationship. You don't want that, do you? I hope you said no. Remember, you want to be loved, and you're looking for a soulmate, not a hookup buddy. So spend the time building a relationship without getting all physical. Once you start having sex, the chemistry overpowers your character discernment, and you'll be blinded. Your ability to judge, assess, evaluate situations objectively will be diminished. Don't do it. You deserve a commitment, and you deserve love. And to build a committed, loving relationship takes time. So give yourself that time and don't jump into sex. You'll be glad you waited. Rule number 2. To be great at relationships, you need to be great at sex. One of the things my mother taught me. So I practiced sex a lot and became great at it. But guess what? My relationships sucked. Why? Because I was screwed in my head, following this foolish rule, which is a total lie. Many people I know now are dating without jumping right into sex, and they have great relationships. Think I'm kidding? Okay, I can't introduce you to my friends and I can't talk about their personal stories here for privacy reasons, but there are some awesome modern urban guys and gals who share their experiences of sexual purity and their wonderful relationship experiences. You can find the links to their YouTube videos by clicking on the second tab to the right of this lecture. They inspired me, and I hope you also can be inspired. Rule number 3. To keep a guy around, give him sex. You need to determine why you're dating. That will drive the how of your dating, essentially. So if you're looking to be loved, admired, appreciated, and respected, the guy who will be able to give you these things is not the kind of guy who needs to be kept around with sex. In other words, if a dude insists on sex, threatening to end up your relationship otherwise, let him go. In fact, You yourself should hurry up and get the heck out of that relationship because it is not what you're looking for. So why waste your valuable time? Don't lower your criteria. Develop high standards and stick to them. Don't allow just anyone who is available into your life. Create a checklist to stay objective at all times and to avoid being swallowed by chemistry. You are a high-quality woman, aren't you? Then a man who will be able to make you happy also needs to be a high-quality person. How will you determine whether or not the guy in front of you is a high-quality man? Have your checklist in place for that. Rule number 4, the third date rule. This rule goes like this. If a guy doesn't get sex from you by the third date, you're not into him. Huh? Here's the truth. An anonymous poll carried out by msn.match.com among 5,237 singles suggests that there is actually no rule like this, judging from all the answers to the question how many dates does it take before you become intimate. Interested in responses? Okay, let's not talk about the why our society and our culture believe and promote this nonsense. Let's instead focus on you. Think about your life, how many guys you dated and how many guys you actually will meet in the future. Imagine if you really gave yourself to each of these men by the third date. There would be nothing left of you. You'd have no self-esteem. You would feel like a doormat or a neighborhood bicycle that everyone gets to ride. You would be physically sick too, because actually your sexuality is precious and has not been designed to be given away as if it were not a big deal. In fact, your sexuality is a big deal. Now, remember, it is me still talking, not a girl from a strict Catholic family, but a girl who seduced each of her husbands on the first date. Yep, that's me. I have cold sweats now when thinking about it. I had all my morals wrong. Well, life is new now, and it has a great deal of meaning. I know for a fact that my sexuality is precious, and it's a special gift for one special person. So is your sexuality too. But can you really figure out by the third date that the guy you're with is that one special person? Of course not. You need time. Not only is it the time that you need, but you also need life experience with him. He needs to prove himself to you, and you need to prove yourself to him. Determining your relational compatibility is a process, not an event, my dear. So if a guy insists on sex by the third date, run and go celebrate your singleness. You are not looking for a stalemate. You're seeking a soulmate. And you want a relationship that's companionship-driven, not sex-driven. And you're worthy of it, trust me. Okay, rule number 5. If you can't have sex, at least have tease and please. Listen, my friend, hand jobs, blow jobs, and masturbation are all as real sex as regular intercourse, okay? So don't fool yourself and don't let him fool you. Every woman wants to be pursued. So do you. By giving into this teasing and pleasing, you let chemistry take over so that, again, you're losing your willingness to work on your relationship. Do you want him to respect and honor you? Respect and honor yourself. Again, why you're dating defines how you're dating. And there is one video I want you to watch called The Economics of Sex. You can find the link to the video by clicking on the second tab to the right of this lecture. Remember, you are looking for a soulmate, not a hookup buddy. You need a companionship-driven relationship, not a sex-driven relationship. You want to be loved, not treated like a commodity. Don't live life like there is no tomorrow. You're building your future in your present. So pay attention to this little big secret next time you're about to make your decision. Your sexuality is the most valuable possession you have. It's a special gift you choose to give to the person you truly love. Did you hear that? You love first and then you give the gift, not the other way around. So, Learn how to love yourself, how to honor yourself, and how to treat yourself well. Then you actually can teach others. I talk to many women who choose to honor and respect themselves every single day. And here are common statements that they share with me. Refocus on you. Pursue your passion and career. Learn to create time for what you enjoy doing. Become an expert at something. Know exactly whom to invite into your life. Practice loving yourself unconditionally. Figure out how to fill yourself with joy. Don't just have sex for attention. Avoid fueling someone's ego by giving away the most precious gift you have. And all this is possible if you choose to resist your temptations. What is a temptation, by the way? One definition says it's a desire to do something that's either wrong or unwise. What you really want to do wrong or unwise to yourself? Another definition states that a temptation is a desire to perform an action that one may enjoy immediately, but will regret later for various reasons, such as legal, social, psychological, health-related, economic, and spiritual. This tells us that temptations are the things we ought to resist. And it's clear that if you follow your temptations, there will be negative consequences, often severe negative consequences. Women who choose to honor themselves and resist their daily temptations say to me, sex for the sake of keeping a man used to really affect how I felt the rest of the day in other areas of my life, but now I feel awesome about myself and my decisions. One woman said, not having sex for the wrong reason makes me feel empowered. Another woman mentioned, by resisting my temptations, I feel safer and wiser, and I have clarity now. Also, I've heard statements like, I'm finally disciplined with my health, finances, career, and business. Oh, I really like what this woman said. I got my life under control again. Not allowing temporary feelings of pleasure rule my life has been very rewarding. Now, I hope you don't think that I think it's easy to deal with all these temptations you and I both are experiencing daily. It's hard. And remember, with the way I'm wired, I have to deal with sexual temptations every time a hot dude walks into an elevator with me. And I choose to hold my horses, to honor myself, focus on my future, and resist my temptations. How exactly do I do it? Here is a step-by-step process that helps me on a regular basis and can help you too. Step number 1, recognize that you are tempted. Step number 2, refrain from blaming yourself. Step number 3, refocus your attention instantly. Step number 4, return to your normal state. Step number 5, rejoice, for you are stronger now. How do you refocus your attention instantly? There are a few tips that I can share with you. Number 1, look at objects around you and start naming them in your head or counting. Here's what it looks like in daily life for me. I am, let's say, in an elevator. A smoking hot neighbor walks in. Whereas before, I would start a conversation with him and maybe even flirting. Nowadays, I instantly look at the advertisement on the wall and I start reading it with all my mental effort and think how I would tell my girlfriend about the advertisement. And temptation goes away. I never dwell on it. It used to be that I would be ashamed, embarrassed with all these thoughts, but now I just really don't give any power to my temptation. Okay, tip number 2. If the temptation does not go away and you start going crazy thinking you need a hookup body tonight, go to the gym or for a walk. Do something simple or powerful, something that actually will be positive and good for you, and fill your mind with good thoughts. Now, warning, it is not a good idea for you to dress up and go out in such a situation. You will actually expose yourself to more temptations. Don't do it. Go work out instead, or start cooking a complicated meal that requires attention and concentration, and I promise you, it will definitely pull you out of this temptation. Now, tip number 3. If nothing helps, call a friend to talk about this. Be careful whom you call, though. Make sure the person you use as a wise counsel is actually wise and emotionally and spiritually mature. Choose intelligently. Don't just let somebody influence you, especially when you're so vulnerable. For me, it looks like this. I call my wise counsel, who is a girl of my age, from the same sexualized culture as I am, who has also committed herself to Jesus and chose to honor herself. And she's resisting her temptations, so she knows how I feel. I share with her about my feelings being horny or going crazy, and she listens. And we analyze it together. And once I understand what the heck is happening and what is causing it, the temptation loses its power over me. I feel better and I move on. Speaking of temptations, share with me how you deal with them. Please post your tips on the discussion board by clicking on the third tab to the right of this video. Always remember, you are not a doormat, not an object, and not a commodity. You are a wonderful human being with dreams, goals, aspirations for future, with feelings, and with most basic needs for love, respect, appreciation, and admiration. So love, respect, admire, and honor yourself first. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Aristotle said that, meaning that you need to get in a habit of loving, respecting, and honoring yourself. And the time to start is now. We are at the end of lecture 15, where we discuss the 5 lies about sex which our society forces us to believe. We learned about temptations, why we need to resist them, and how to actually do it. In the next lecture, we will conclude section 3 and get ready to renew your mind and transform your future. Click on lecture 16 now, and I'll see you there. Can't wait!